23 to order at 6:03 p.m. If I can have Vice Commissioner Armstead lead us in the flag salute, please. Thank you. If we can have Jessica have the roll call, please.
Chair Guerrero,
Present.
Vice Chair Armstead, Commissioner Lopez, Commissioner Garcia,
Present.
Commissioner Quill, Commissioner Flores,
Here.
Commissioner Lewis, and our brand new Commissioner Sherrick, and our new Commissioner, other Commissioner Garcia. All right, full staff.
Thank you very much, and thank you, and welcome to our newest commissioners. Welcome to the team here. If we can go ahead and have the administration of oath, please.
Sorry, I thought you meant this. Okay. Anybody wishing to speak, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, please say I do. You may be seated.
Thank you. Do we have any closed session items?
There's no closed session items on the agenda.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and go on to public comments on items not on the agenda. Is there anyone wishing to speak on a matter that is not on the agenda?
I have a Christina Marquez.
Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Christina M Marquez, and I'm a teacher at Fairfax Elementary School. I live in the city of San Bernardino in the 6th Ward, and Fairfax is in the 2nd Ward. On March 9th, due to rainstorms, there was a bridge that connected the community to the rest of the city. It's on Cross Street. During the night of the 9th, there was emergency phone calls being made throughout the city and the school district. When I arrived at work at 7:30 the next morning, our back wall had partially been removed. It's no longer there. And there was a work crew who had begun putting a road right through the middle of our field. Now, being good neighbors, we're understanding. We understand that the community needs to get in and out, to leave, to go to work, to come back, to go to school, to get groceries. Whoever designed that did a really bad job in planning, because that's the only way in and out of that area. There is no other access in or out. So now we have a road through the middle of our field. Our students don't have the field to play in. They can't play soccer. They can't play baseball because we've got the road, a two-way street that's been paved through the middle of our school field. Today, I went over to see what the progress was on the bridge. Absolutely nothing has been done to get that structure up so that the residents can get in and out. Why there was only one way in and out for those residents, whereas we have students who go to school at Fairfax Elementary that live back there. We have students that attend Pacific High School that live back there. There's a number of apartment buildings. They can't get in and out. They have to drive through our school. So now we have a paved road. We now have street lights, just like you would downtown. We also have the portable lights that are up. And my question is, how long will the students be denied a field to play in? Is there any idea when construction will begin to shore up this bridge so that the residents can get in and out safely and our students will get their field back? Nobody seems to have an answer. So I come to you tonight to find out if anyone was even aware that there was a road through the middle of an elementary school. So hopefully we'll get an answer soon. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Consent agenda. Consent items are considered routine in nature and may be enacted in one motion. All public and non-public hearings will be opened at one time. Any item may be discussed separately upon request of a member of the Planning Commission or member of the public. Do we have any updates on the consent calendar?
There's only one item on consent calendar tonight. That's the approval of the draft minutes from the March 14th meeting.
Pardon? Oh.
Okay, I looked at the minutes from our last meeting. The first one, let's see, item number, the approval of subdivision 2208 regarding the self-storage facility. I distinctly remember that we said no storage facilities or warehouse on that property. That's not the way these minutes read. These minutes read that we're allowing development, establishment, and operation of a self-storage facility. That's not what we approved. That is, and not at all. It was a unanimous decision not to. I don't see a not, I don't see a deny. I don't see nothing like that.
Yeah, so it's typical that we just put the project description as it was presented originally. That's what the subject is. The action is the bold item. Behind number 3, it says approval of the subdivision, which we discussed. We had no way to make findings to deny that subdivision, and the ratification of denial of the conditional use permit and minor exception. So that's what action the Planning Commission took.
So it's
And that's what-
actually,
It's denying.
it is
those.
denying.
That's
I just
what
want to
these-
make sure.
Yes.
We don't want any
Yes.
storage. And then the second one, are we doing the same thing? We are denying ratification of denial? I just want to make sure it's clear to everybody out there too, because it wasn't clear to me.
Yes, item 4 on the minutes from March 14th, ratification of denial
So,
of Development Code Amendment
we're there.
22-06.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
Then,
And then in the recommendations for both, recommendation 3.2 is staff recommending that Planning Commission adopt the resolution that denies those projects. And then recommendation 4 does the same thing for that project.
Then that being the case, we seem to have a project that had on-site material crushing. How did that happen if we denied it? All the commissioners got a copy of the same paper I got. Something's happening in the planning department. How did they get approved to have on-site?
I'm not familiar with the site. Is that something that was passed out?
Yeah, that's the thing that was passed out, and you're gonna get, all of you got this. How did that happen? It was approved?
The s-
How did it get approved?
The city does not permit on-site crushing, so I'm not familiar with the situation.
If you'll look on here, it's got approvals in a couple of places, if you look at this.
What-
How did
what-
that happen?
Can I ask what you're looking at?
You got this. That's that different? No, there's grinding, there's grinding in here. Yeah, there's grinding in there. Not grading, grinding, not grading.
Vice Chair, I just want to clarify, is this something that's on the minutes, or is this something that's completely
Well-
not on the agenda or not on the minutes or anything?
It's not, well, we got the minutes that said we denied on-site crushing and grinding.
But is this
But
project?
something happened.
Is this project part of those minutes?
No.
Because it could be something that you could bring to a further,
Oh, can I?
next
Sure.
agenda.
Okay, not a problem. Okay. All right, you clarified the minutes, so I'm good. Just wanted it clarified.
Okay, is there anyone else wishing to speak on the consent calendar item? Okay. If not, may I entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent calendar.
I second.
Okay. Call for the vote.
Chair Guerrero,
Yes.
Vice Chair Armstead,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez, Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Quill, Commissioner Flores,
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis,
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrick,
Abstain.
and then Commissioner Garcia.
Yes.
All right, minutes are approved.
Thank you. Public hearing items. The Planning Commission will first hear a report from staff, and then the public hearing will be open. The applicant will have an opportunity to speak. Next, members of the public will be allowed to speak. Anyone in the audience wishing to speak must be sworn in and also fill out a request to speak form. The forms are located on the table near the door. When your name is called, come forward and speak into the microphone, say and spell your name, and give your address for the tape record. After all have spoken, the applicant will be allowed to respond. The public hearing will then be closed and the Planning Commission will begin deliberations and make a decision. All actions except general plan amendments and amendments to the Municipal Development Code are final action unless an appeal is filed and fee paid within 15 days to the Community Development Department. If you challenge the resultant action of the Planning Commission in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing described in this agenda, or in written correspondence delivered to the Community Development Department at or prior to the public hearing. Item number 2, please.
Good evening, Commissioners. Item number 2 is Conditional Use Permit 20-17. The proposed project is to do an assembly facility for religious purposes. The project site is going to be comprised of a building containing approximately 60,085 square feet, located at 1316 West 13th Street, west of North Mount Vernon Avenue, on a 3.80 acre site within the Commercial General Zone. Here we have an aerial view of the existing site. The existing site is surrounded by commercial types of development, existing residential, as well as a public park. In the zoning map, as I mentioned, it is located within our Commercial General Zone. We have some residential to the west, and then we have existing commercial and also residential neighborhoods within a commercial zone and an existing public park facility. The project site, so as I mentioned previously, the project is going to be comprised of a building containing approximately 60,085 square feet. The improvements will only be on 3 acres of the site. The remaining acreage will not be developed. It will be maintained, and there is a condition of approval making sure that that section is maintained. As part of the floor plan, the main assembly room will be 5,906 square feet. They will have a kitchen facility, approximately 512 square feet, small library, 203 square feet, classrooms containing a total of approximately 1,260 square feet. There will be a changing area for the pastors or whoever needs to change for ceremonies, about 63 square feet. A dining room area, approximately 1,295 square feet, that will be used for the gatherings that they have at the church. There will be a meeting room for their congregation and their staff, approximately 480 square feet, and then a combination of offices and bathrooms for staff that will be, running the day-to-day activities. The hours of operation are going to be Sunday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., Wednesdays from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. They will have some nighttime gatherings on Mondays and or Wednesdays starting at 7 p.m. that will run approximately 3 hours. And they will have 6 employees, full-time, plus additional temporary part-time staff to help with service activities. The project site will be accessed through West 13th Street and North Mount Vernon Avenue. They are providing 173 parking spaces. 6 will be accessible, and they will be providing 6 EV charging stations. Here we have a view of the existing site as it exists right now. Right here, it's on Mount Vernon. So this section right here, this one is on 13th Street. And then this is going to be on the opposite side. This section is not going to be utilized. It will be maintained per our conditions of approval as well as our development code regulations in good condition until they decide to move forward with a second part of a future project. Here we have the existing site. So here is the existing building. As I mentioned, they're going to have access here on West 13th Street. And then they're going to be able to circulate out through Mount Vernon or vice versa. So they have perfect accessibility. There is going to be access for fire access, so that way they're able to go all the way to the rear of the property and be able to exit properly out, as well as for trash services to be able to circulate in and out of the site. Here we have the existing floor plan. This is going to be the main assembly area for the congregation, as well as the dining room area, office areas, and the restrooms for the facility. Everything's going to be held indoors, so there shouldn't be any kind of noise being externally, aside from your regular congregation coming in and leaving the location. For the proposed landscaping, they are going to do a 10-foot landscaping buffer abutting all the residential to the west of the site. It's going to be dense landscaping, 24-inch box trees to make sure that they're maintained, evergreen trees, so that way they're kept up to place. There is going to be a detention basin to the front that will be also landscaped and set back, so that way there's proper separation from the sidewalk and the frontage on West 13th Street. Here we have various the elevations for various vantage points, so that way you can see at the different architectural. It's going to be a contemporary Spaniard type of design and architecture, more modern, and it's going to feature different types of arches, as well as veneer stones and shingles. And with that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt resolution number 2023-013, finding the project categorically exempt pursuant to section 15332 infill development projects in accordance to CEQA, and approving conditional use permit 20-17 based on findings of fact and subject to the recommended conditions of approval. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer questions, or we also have the applicant and architecture team to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing for item number 2. Does the applicant want to add anything, or is there anyone wishing to speak on this item? No one? Yes, sir.
Good evening. David Godoy. I'm just representing the Word of Truth Christian Center. Some of our members are here. Our pastor is here as well. I just want to add on to what's already been spoken. I know a lot of what you are hearing, you've already read, because that's been sent to you. You have a lot of information of what's happening with our church, and I just want you to know that we are here to. Our church is open to work with the city, with the community, where we live in San Bernardino, and the area that we currently are in isn't, you would say, the nicest or prettiest place. There's a lot of violence, a lot of gangs. So the area is not a nice area, but we're doing the best that we can to make the area more beautiful. We want to bring families in, we want to help the community. If there's an emergency, the building will be open for the city to use for shelters, for food distribution, whatever will be needed. We are here to work with the city and with the community. And yes, just wanted to add that on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, anyone?
Through the chair, I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
What is the site across the street from the site that should be developed? What is it across the street?
So right here to the north side, we have some existing residential and then some vacant property as well. So to the north side, we have some vacant land and single family homes.
And what is that in the middle there?
Right here, there is an existing church as well.
This what?
There's an existing church as well.
Okay.
So right here in the middle, there's an existing religious facility as well.
Okay.
I just wanted to confirm that I read the report right, that there's going to be 6 EV charging parking stations?
Yes, that's correct.
Great. And in terms of compatibility or coordination with the existing church, is there any sort of agreement in terms of parking or how those two uses will work together?
There isn't any agreement. It's not something that we're able to require from property owner to property owner. It's something that potentially, the congregation can definitely speak with them and have those discussions and see if there's a method to be able to allow for parking for that facility. But the parking that is being provided is only for this facility.
Thank you.
Good evening. This looks great. I do want to echo what Commissioner Flores was touching on there. The existing facility that's there, it's kind of like right smack dab in the middle of some stuff. And I can see that they pretty much have ingress and egress paths that go out to Mount Vernon. On your project, where are your driveways, your exits, entrances,
So let me go to the site plan. So the egress here is on North Mount Vernon Avenue. So it should probably be a couple feet adjacent to this one. Our Public Works team did review the project site, and they found this access egress acceptable.
and there's no roadways that's shared with the church there in the middle? Is there a
There-
block wall that?
There is an
separates-
existing perimeter wall, yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Is that gonna be,
That's gonna stay.
yeah, it is gonna stay.
That's correct, sir. That is gonna stay. If there is gonna need any types of repairs to any areas of wall that are damaged, the applicant would be required to fix those areas.
So if your egress and if your driveways are there on Mount Vernon, is that to say that there's no access from either 13th or 14th?
There is. So there is no access through 14th because this area is gonna be closed off until they decide to move forward with a future development, at which point, depending on the type of development, it will more than likely come to the commissioners once more. But there is an access here on 13th Street.
And that's, I
That-
mean, so
that's-
would you say that, I mean, that's an access to the parking?
Correct. So this is so this is to the parking lot, correct. So the fire department requires two access points to the site. So this is going to serve as the primary access point because from this point, the fire truck is able to go through the site, and then they have the hammerhead here to be able to go back and then circle out. And then this is going to be essentially a second point of access. So this is mainly, is going to be for just regular vehicle services. The trash truck is also going to take access through West 13th Street. So any large vehicles will be taking access through West 13th Street because they have the hammerhead here for accessibility.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. So one point is going to be through the residential community right there on 13th Street?
Correct.
Is that correct? Did we reach out to the residents? Was there any problems that the residents had?
We did send out notifications. We do 1,000-foot radius to all property owners and occupants of property, and we didn't receive any kind of feedback. We did receive an inquiry, and I provided the information to the person, and they didn't have any further comments.
Thank you. And one other question, when did the developer get the conditions of approval? Was that also on Thursday?
No, they received the conditions of approval at our DRC meeting.
And do we have the developer sign something saying that they approve these conditions, that
Usually-
they don't have any problems with the conditions?
Correct. So usually we have an affidavit for conditions of approval after the fact. So once the project, if it moves forward with an approval, we send that request to the applicants.
That's for all projects?
That's for all projects, correct?
Thank you.
You know, I'm trying to look. Good evening, everybody. I'm looking at a street view version of the trying to compare the site map versus a street street view version. The existing
Let me go back.
yeah. So it looks like there's a block wall on the existing property that's being surrounded, right?
Correct. So this
Um,
is the existing, right here in this area. This is where you have the other assembly use, and they have an existing perimeter wall, correct?
Okay. And is there any affiliation with that existing congregation?
There is not. They're two separate congregations.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Okay. So we'll close the public hearing for item number 2. And we can entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that the Planning Commission adopt resolution number 2023-013, approving conditional use permit 20-17, based on the finding and facts and subject to the recommendations, conditions of approval.
I'll second.
Call for the vote.
Chair Guerrero,
Yes.
Vice Chair Armstead, Commissioner Lopez, Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Quill,
Yes.
Commissioner Flores,
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis,
Yes.
Commissioner, I'm so sorry, Sherrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia.
Yes.
All right, it's approved.
Thank you. We can have item number 3, please. Staff report.
Good evening. I'm Chantel Choice, the Assistant Planner for the Planning Division. Item number 3 is Subdivision 22-09, Tentative Parcel Map 20527, and Conditional Use Permit 21-23. The project consists of consolidating 6 parcels into one parcel for the development of an express drive-through car wash on a parcel approximately 1.3 acres located at 673 West 5th Street within a Commercial Regional 2 Zone and Transit Overlay District. Here we have our zoning map. As I mentioned, is within our Commercial Regional 2 Zone. It is surrounded by properties to the south, north, east, and west that are also within the Commercial Regional 2 Zone. Here we have our aerial view. The properties to the north and west are undeveloped. We have 2 hotels that are located to the north of the property and also to the east. And to the south, we have our shopping center. The building will consist of a 3,378 square foot express drive-through car wash. The hours of operation will be from Monday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., with approximately 2 to 3 employees per shift. They will have access to the site from one 30-foot wide driveway along West 5th Street, and also exiting, we have egress along North G Street. The property will have 3 drive-through lanes to accommodate for stacking. Also, they will have 3 parking spaces and 22 vacuum stalls. Here we have an existing view of the existing site. It is vacant. Here we have our site plan. We have the egress and ingress off of 5th Street. They'll be able to enter and exit the site. Off of G Street, they will be exit only. We have the 3 stacking that would accommodate for a queuing for the business. We have the 3 parking spaces and the 22 parking stalls. Here we have our landscaping. All non-paved landscape areas will be all non-paved areas will be landscaped, so the setbacks will be landscaped. We will have landscaping off of Fifth. I'm sorry. So along Fifth Street and G Street, it will be a landscape buffer to further screen the drive aisles from the public right-of-way. Here we have our renderings. This is a view from Fifth Street. You see we have the landscaping. This will be the entrance into the into the car wash. This is off of G Street. This is the exiting. We have our landscape buffer. Also, they're providing a screen wall as well. And this is the rear of the building, showing the parking stalls. For planning's recommendation, we recommend Planning Commission adopt resolution number 2023-021, finding the project categorically exempt in accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act, approving subdivision 22-09, tentative parcel map 20527, and conditional use permit 21-23, based on the findings of facts and subject to the recommended conditions of approval. That concludes staff presentations. I am available for any questions, and also we have the applicant here as well.
Thank you, Chantel. Does the applicant want to add anything? We can open up the public hearing for item number 3. Go ahead, sir.
Honorable Commissioners, thank you for, it's on. Closer. Honorable Commissioners, thank you for allowing me to speak before you tonight. And to 2 new members, congratulations and welcome. You know, I don't know if many of you know, but I own all the land from the 215 freeway all the way to the motels on 5th Street. And this is part of a much larger project. Phase 1 is currently under construction. I don't know if you've seen it. It's the north west corner of 5th and G. And we have, actually tonight, we have Sonic coming in as another tenant. We have Starbucks. We have Chipotle coming in hopefully soon. And we have some additional tenants that we're talking to as well. So this is part of a larger project. And I know that, you know, this was 5 years in the making. This was a really much more challenging site than I thought it would be, I'll be honest with you. And I just want to share some of the numbers with you guys so that you could see why it was challenging. So the average household income of that area is $25,000. That's household, not individual income. An individual making minimum wage, working 40 hours a week, makes $32,000 a year. So the average household income in a 2-income household is $64,000. Again, the average household income in this neighborhood is $25,000. And what does that say? It says nothing about the residents, but really looking at it from a retailer's perspective, they look to disposable income. That's money that people have to spend on things other than their rent, their vehicle, and their groceries. And the lower the disposable income, the less likely that a tenant will come there because that's what they rely on to survive. So that was the first challenge. And we overcame that challenge by providing other types of statistics, you know, the government workers that work in the downtown and so on, and traffic and the 215 freeway and attracting people off of the 215. And then came time to walk the site with potential tenants. For some time, every time I would walk the site with potential tenants, out in plain view during the day, there were street ladies of the night, but in the day, outwardly working on the streets. And honestly, in some cases, it was heartbreaking because these were young children. There's obvious drug dealing on the streets in front of the site, almost on a daily basis. And we've actually been broken into on a construction site 5 times on that project. Once they came in and they stole all the electrical on a new building that hadn't been built yet. So these are challenges, and one way or another, we kind of cajoled and worked around these challenges. And I remember when we brought Aldi to look at the site, and Aldi said, well, you know, come back to us when you have a bunch of other tenants, and we'll look at it again. And I could see why. I mean, they didn't want to be the first one out. It was a risk for them. And so these challenges are real. And so, yet we've been able to pretty much bring all the tenants. We have some more that we're working on, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tenants currently coming into this project. So next, I'd like to talk to you about some other statistics and some other numbers. Let's see. I'm sorry, I changed up the way I did this a little bit this morning. Okay. So I know that there's some people, well, actually, let's go back. You know, when a city looks at a tenant, you do a cost-benefit analysis. And sometimes the benefits are a little bit hard to see. So I wanted to point out some of the benefits. And I'm not sure if everyone knows this, you know, especially in the public. But if the sidewalks are broken, we're the one that fixes it. If the street is cracked and not in good shape, we're the one that grinds and repaves it. We pay for the public landscaping. We pay for the street widening. We pay to convert all the street lights in front of our project to LED lights. We pay to change the radius on the corners so it'll be safer for a truck to make turns. On the project on the north, the Starbucks project, we actually also paid on the north west corner of 5th and G. The drain system was just a hole in the ground. And so when it would rain a lot, it would flood the entire street. So we paid to have the drain go from there. We piped it all the way out from G Street to H Street into the public stormwater drain system at a cost of approximately, I think, $200,000. We put conduits in the right-of-way for future for the city. And this might not seem like a lot of benefit to the city, but between these projects, I would say we're probably paying in about $1 million for offsites. And maybe that's not a lot, but considering that the entire city's budget for road improvements and so on, I've been told by Susan, haven't double-checked it, is $2 million. And so this provides a direct public benefit to the city. Now, in addition to all this, this is the direct improvements that go on when a development occurs. We pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in fees to the city. I could tell you, just on one Starbucks, the one on the corner of 5th and H, we paid $70,000 just to the water department. I think by the time we're finished, we are probably paying north of $500,000 in fees on this project. All this money goes to improving the city. That's where it goes. Additionally, once these tenants open, they generate sales tax. In perpetuity, they generate sales tax, which goes to supporting other services that the city provides. I estimate, and it's only an estimate, that between all the tenants that we're bringing into this area, we're creating 100 new jobs. 100 new jobs, even at minimum wage, gives $32,000 annually. And they're not minimum wage. Some of them are more than minimum wage. And that brings the household income to $62,000 with a two-person household. I estimate that we will generate approximately $300,000 a year in property tax revenues. Now, I understand that some of the property tax revenues have been dedicated by the city to the county, but most of it still goes to the city's school system. In addition to that, we're required to pay into a CFD, which is money that we pay on an annual basis to the city so that the city can maintain all the roadways, all the landscaping, public landscaping, and so on that the city has. So these are all, not all, but some of the benefits. In addition to that, you know, this particular project, we're building a nice building, we're getting rid of blight, we are providing the community with a service that they want, we're providing a car wash that recycles 95% of its water, that doesn't put any junk and chemicals inside the waterways, and provides it at a reasonable cost. So that's the benefit on the cost-benefit analysis. Now, I've talked to some people that have said, well, we don't want car wash, how many car washes, and so on. But I was never really told what the cost is. What is the cost of having a car wash? It's a nice, beautiful structure. It looks like any other retail. It's a business. It generates jobs. It generates income. It generates, you know, this is what we want in this city. And it's environmentally friendly, which is something that I personally care about. Now, let's look at the statistics a little bit. So San Bernardino, I believe as of 2020, had 230,000 residents. And it's one of the largest geographic cities in the region. It has a total of 27 car washes, which might seem like a lot, but it actually is not. Now, out of the 27 car washes that it has, 10 of them are wand washers. Wand washes are those, I'm sure you've seen around, very ugly. It's like a bay that you go into and you park your car and you wash your car yourself. So out of the 28, 10 of them are those.
Excuse me, sir. If we can go ahead and keep on track for this item.
Yeah. So this is for the car wash. I'm almost done. Almost done. So there are six of them are roller washes, which is the ones that are in the back of the gas station, the small ones that scratch your car. So what's happening here, like I had said in the past, is you have new technology that's taking over old technology. This is new type. These other wand washes and the roller washes are going to eventually be closed by regulation. So I have a few other things to say, but I will cut it short in case you have more answers.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your information. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item?
I have a Jim Lockingston.
Okay.
Hello. Good evening, Honorable Planning Commission Chair and Commissioners. My name is Jim Lockington. I'm the manager of New Store Development for In-N-Out Burgers. I'd like to first start by expressing gratitude for your approval last October of our proposed drive-through and lot expansion at our 795 West 5th Street location. I would have thanked you in person at the hearing, but due, I believe, to the city losing some senior planning staff last year, In-N-Out was not notified of the hearing. Fortunately, for In-N-Out, you followed the staff recommendation and approved our proposed lot expansion without the need for any convincing on my part. We believe the extension of our dedicated drive-through queue and expansion of our parking area will provide significant benefits to the community at large as well as to our customers. Again, we thank you, and we look forward to obtaining our permits and constructing those improvements this year. I am here tonight, however, to express support for the proposed Quick Quack Car Wash located at 673 West 5th Street. As a property owner and adjacent neighboring business, we welcome the development of previously vacant land, and we believe the car wash will offer a valuable service to the community and provide significant economic benefit to the city. We encourage you to adopt the staff recommendation to approve the project. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Vance,
Anyone
you
else?
still want to speak? He's good. No, that's it.
Okay. Thank you so much. Commissioners, we'll go ahead and start.
Again, this is on 5th Street, and what is the nearest cross street? It borders a cross street?
It's at the corner. It's the southeast corner of of 5th Street and G Street.
And G Street?
Yes.
So it's quite this way.
Yes.
And you said that there's only 2 employees per shift. Is this the same type of car wash that's on E and Baseline, where people drive their own their own cars and so forth?
So yes, it is a express car wash. So
you
you'll
your
stay
money
in your car and then you
go
through,
in and
yes.
they prep you and you go to the car wash.
Yes.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment. I recall from our last meeting the presentation that Quick Quack gave us, and I was quite impressed with their proposal of what they can do in our community. And for that, I'm looking forward to supporting this project.
Quick question for staff. I recognize that this is this property is under the TOD zone. And there have been several projects under the TOD zone that we've approved through this commission that don't necessarily meet the goals of what a TOD zone is supposed to do, which is encourage active transportation. Do you have a sense how many TOD zone properties are left in the city? And where is the compatibility between this zone and all these decisions being made?
I don't think we have the number of properties off the top of our head. That's something we could bring back to you at another meeting. And I was just looking up the TOD zone district to see if it has a description of the purpose. Yeah, it just says promoting transit-oriented development within the city. The intent is to allow and encourage appropriate mix and intensity of land uses in a compact pattern around transit stations that will foster transit usage, create new opportunities for economic growth, encourage infill and redevelopment, reduce dependency on the automobile, improve air quality, and promote high-quality interactive neighborhoods. That's it in a nutshell.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to hear at a future meeting.
Thank you. I like the idea of having an express car wash such as Quick Quack Car Wash so close by and in the downtown area. I think it's something that can definitely be of service to city employees, county, state, all the employees that we have downtown, plus the residents. I like that it's in the first ward, and of course having to drive just a few minutes rather than get on the freeway to get over to another car wash. So thank you for presenting this, and thank you for bringing it to the downtown area.
Okay, I passed out a map. We now have 19 car washes in the city of San Bernardino. We approved 2 last month. We're approving, we got 2 more on the agenda this month. So is the goal to have one on almost every corner? Because we got a lot of car washes here. I realize you said you've got 2 people per shift. That's not a big dent into the employment issues we have in San Bernardino. We're having a lot of car washes. If you see the map, do we need that many? None of them have long lines waiting for people to get their car washed. So it's not like the demand is that great. And then also, I did a little research myself. We don't recycle 90%. It's between 65 and 70%. I did do some research too. I just don't understand why we have to have so many car washes. Why can't we get a restaurant maybe? A real sit-down restaurant, not a drive-through. Just why do we need so many car washes? It should raise red flags. What the heck is going on here? Why so many? That's my issue. And you see the last two was in the north part of the city. These two are closer. One's downtown and the other one's over by Del Rosa. Just why we need so many car washes in this city. And they only hire 2 people per shift. That ain't no great dent. I know you gave great statistics about how much the wages will be. Let's be realistic. It's not in every household. But it sounded good. I just disagree. There's so many car washes. We don't need one on every corner. Thank you.
I have a question for the applicant. You said that the neighborhood boundaries, what are these what's the neighborhood boundaries?
For
You mentioned that in the neighborhood boundary that there's the income is 25,000. What was that neighborhood boundary that you were referencing?
I believe, I can't remember whether it was a 1 mile or 2 mile. I don't know if you've seen the demographics. You put a point and then it gives you a circle around that. Can't remember if it was a mile or 2 miles that I got, but it's within that area, within that immediate area.
And how many car washes are within that neighborhood boundary?
There's actually, I believe there's one car wash that I know of that's on, someone mentioned here on E and Rialto, but that's not an express car wash. It's called Express Wash, but it's actually a full service car
That's
wash.
E and Baseline.
E and Baseline, yes. No? No? Yeah, I'm sorry. E and Rialto.
E and
Sorry.
Rialto.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's a full service car
Yeah.
wash.
Yeah, it is. Thank you.
You know, I also have a comment for the applicant. We're talking about median household income in that area. And you gave out some numbers. What are the applicants going to do to keep that work local? If we're talking about numbers, how do we know that we're not bringing in people from Fontana to come work at the car washes? And I know you wrapped in the other project, which is great for the city, northwest of this particular project, the Sonic and the Chipotle in that corner. What are we wrapping in to try to figure out that 1 or 2 mile radius you're talking about is gonna help and employ the people of their neighborhood?
Right. So, obviously we can't force people to work for us, but I could tell you that actually just about every national and regional tenant that I know of always tries to hire from local first. And especially Quick Quack, they're very involved in the community when they come in. You didn't see the presentation last time, but they work with charities and so on. So they're very involved. I could tell you that from our end, I know my roofer is local, my geotech company is local, my contractor is local to the city. I think my electrical contractor is local. So we try to use as much. We can't get everyone local, but we try to use as much local, not just because we want to help the city, to be honest with you, but it just makes sense. I mean, they're there. And I just want to address one other thing that the vice chair said. As a developer, if I get a sit-down restaurant, I actually make more money. If I get a higher end type of tenant, if I get, let's say, a Trader Joe's rather than, let's say, I don't know, some other, I don't want to disparage any grocery stores, I'll make more money. They pay more rent. So I have all the incentive in the world to bring the best possible tenants. And I actually did something for Councilwoman Calvin about a week to 2 weeks ago. We sat down together with my broker, and we went through the process of how we get tenants, what they're looking for, what we need to show them, and why we can't get some tenants in and why we can. But I can tell you, I've invested $100 million. I currently have about $100 million invested in this city. I've invested more than that, but I currently have about $100 million. There is no one more to benefit from this city getting highest end tenants possible than myself. I have a full financial interest in doing that. But the realities are the realities. And, just if this was, let's say, a cannabis store, or if it was a liquor store where the cost was high, I could understand. But this is just like any other retail. You're bringing a beautiful building in to an area and getting rid of blight. Why would you not want to do that with all these benefits that come along with it? I understand that you think that there's a lot of car washes, but you know what? This is they have 200 car washes in the United States. This is a sophisticated company. They would not come here if they didn't have the business. So, again, like I said last time, the constituents will vote with their pocketbooks.
I have a question.
Certainly.
There are also the gas stations that have car washes. Was that in your count of 20 also?
Yes, there's 6 of them, actually. There's 6 of them in the city, that type of, and that's really, it's pretty much a dead.
There's one catty corner on Highland, the Shell, had built a car wash for a number of years, and I've never, ever, I live, go down that way. I've never, ever seen a car go to the car wash. But now, catty corner to them is a super gas station with a much bigger car wash advertised. So I was wondering, do they have the same recyclable water and so forth?
No, completely different technology. This is new. That's why you're seeing so many of them at once, because this is new technology that was actually initiated through a state regulation that was passed to disincentivize people from washing their cars in front of their homes, or to go to other car washes that don't recycle, that do put, detergents and so on into the waterways. And I could tell you, the numbers that you were talking about in terms of recycling, I actually confirmed with Quick Quack, and it may be different from Express Wash to another. They actually recycle 100% of the water. I thought it was 95. So, and
Well, you have beautiful landscape. That's one thing I've noticed, the pictures. And I see a lot of people go to these types of car washes. There's actually a line of cars, and they're happily cleaning, and they're inside and vacuuming and everything. So there seems to be a market for it.
there definitely is. And again, I want to go back. There's 10 of the car washes out of the 27 are wand washes, those bays that you go into and you just wash the car yourself. So, I don't even consider those car washes. It's completely different. It's like one is, a chicken shop and the other is a hamburger shop. It's like, so it's.
The only thing I see is the traffic, because it's right there on Fifth, and then there's the bridge, and then on to the freeway. There's a lot of cars coming from the workers, the county, and other businesses, and sort of making their way to the. Was that going to interfere with, or is it going to be like what's that? In and out, where they're parked out in the street to get in.
Actually, I'm glad that you brought that up. First of all, we did a global traffic study for this project, presented it to the city, worked with traffic with the city to make sure that that doesn't happen. And actually, one of the reasons why In-N-Out was here and they had a project was because I knew, and the city had informed me, that their queuing was, going into Fifth Street. So we sold on the other side. Sonic is coming in. Sonic was supposed to purchase that entire site, and I worked out a deal with Sonic so I can give a portion of their land that I was going to sell to them to In-N-Out, so we can create a much longer queue for them and more parking so that they wouldn't go out into Fifth Street. So if anything, I think we've, actually, probably bettered the traffic situation in that area.
Do you have beautiful landscape? That's one thing I've noticed. The pictures. And I see a lot of people go to these types of car washes. Was that going to interfere with, or is it going to be like
Actually, probably bettered the traffic situation in that area.
Commissioner Lewis?
Yes, thank you. Let's look 5, 10 years down the road. The regulations that you are speaking of, are you suggesting to me that these regulations are almost going to force these less eco-friendly car washes out of existence? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, that's the way that the state is going. It's either going to be that or their competition will take them out. And these express car washes will be the ones that will take them out. It's going to be one or the other. I personally think that regulation, because, I mean, you know, we can't be throwing away water like that. We can't be throwing, you know, all these chemicals into our waterways. I mean, the state is just not going to allow it anymore. And it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. I mean, it's.
And let me ask you, you stated 95% water recycling. I believe you upped that to 100.
That's right.
Do you have any idea how that, I mean, notwithstanding just evaporation, is it that the drainage in these car washes actually take that water back somewhere and make it usable for the next cars, or how does that work?
I'm not as familiar with it, but I could tell you that, well, I'll have Quick Quack answer that. I'm not an expert in car washes by any means.
Thank you very much. My name is Vance Shannon, and I represent Quick Quack Car Wash. So all of our water comes into the facility from the city water, and it goes through 3 1,500-gallon recycling reclaim tanks that filter the water. Then the water further goes into another RO system for the final rinse. All that water goes into a trench in the center and is pumped back in through those 1,500-gallon tanks over and over and over again. You might get, well, whatever's dripping off the car when it leaves the wash, that's not getting recycled, but everything else is.
These tanks have some sort of a filter?
It's a sand filter type system for oils and solids. And yeah.
Also, I just want to mention that actually Quick Quack manufactures their own equipment. And so that's why they're a little bit different than the.
We actually do. We manufacture about 85% of the equipment. We have a manufacturing facility that we put together as much of it as we possibly can. We want to wash a car of the very best you can possibly wash a car. And that service is well liked. We have 900,000 members, 180 stores, 190 stores now. And if you do that math, that's about 4,700 members per store when we open them. So they're very well liked.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question?
It did.
Thank you.
I had a question on the total count of existing car washes. So is it 19 or 27?
It's actually 27, and it depends how you're calculating car washes. Because out of the 27, as I indicated, 10 are wand washes, and you might not consider those car washes. And some people don't consider the roller washes, the ones that you see in gas stations, as a car wash either. They just see it as a accessory to a gas station. So it depends. I just try to bring all of them, that any facility that you go into to get a car wash, I call the car wash.
Thank you. That's it for me.
I just have a couple other questions. I don't know if it's best for the applicant or staff. I asked previously that they received a copy of their conditions of approval, and they agreed with all of the conditions.
We have received it and agreed to it.
And agreed to it.
Yes.
And so if and maybe this isn't particular to this developer, but if they want changes made during the construction phase, do those changes come back to the Planning Commission for approval?
They will need to come back.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Okay, no. We'll close the public hearing and may entertain a motion, please.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that Planning Commission adopt resolution number 2023-021, approving subdivision 22-09 and conditional use permit 2123, based on the finding of facts and subject to recommended conditions of approval.
I'll second. Call for the vote, please.
Okay, so Chair Guerrero,
Yes.
Vice Chair Armstead, Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia,
Yes.
Commissioner Quill, Commissioner Flores,
No.
Commissioner Lewis,
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrick,
No.
and Commissioner Garcia.
Yes.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it passes.
Thank you. Welcome. Okay. Item number 4, please. Staff report.
Good evening. Item number 4 is conditional use permit 21-24. This is a proposed restaurant with drive-through containing approximately 2,321 square feet. That's going to be located on the southwest corner of West 5th Street and North G Street. As mentioned previously, it is for Sonic. The project site is approximately 0.73 acres within the commercial regional CR2 zone. Here we have the existing site for the proposal of the car wash. As mentioned previously, there was an existing previously approved expansion that was approved as part of the in and out that will adjust the property in order to allow for shared accessibility and parking for the in and out and for the Sonic. And I will go into further detail on the site plan. Here we have a zoning of the area. As I mentioned, it is within our ZR2 zone, and it is surrounded by our senior complex to the south, the in and out to the west, and then the current development to the north for the 5th and Street, the 5th Gateway project. And then as well, this is where the the Quick Quack was going to be, and then a future proposal for a Chipotle that will be coming at a future date. So the floor layout. So it's going to have indoor dining, approximately 506 square feet. There will be an outdoor dining patio area, approximately 515 square feet. And then there is going to be a back of house. The back of house, which is going to be consistent of the kitchen, the restrooms, cooler, freezers, dry storage room, janitor areas, is approximately 1,850 square feet. The proposal is to have it operate 24 hours a day, Monday through Sunday. There will be access through a new existing driveway along G Street. That's going to be only for one-way exit. There will be the existing in and out expansion will be shifting their existing driveway there on West 5th Street and relocating a 36-foot wide driveway to be shared with Sonic, and I'll show that in the next slide. They are proposing to have 25 parking spaces. As part of the shared access, 10 of those parking spaces, which are 8 standard and 2 80-day, will be on the in and out parcel portion of it. There is a condition of approval in where declarations of easements, covenants, conditions, and restrictions for vehicular access, parking, and maintenance will be maintained between both the Sonic and the in and out. Here we have the existing site location from G Street as well as from 5th Street for the existing site. There is an existing block wall. It's a little bit hard to see. Sorry, the sun was in my way while I was taking the picture. So there is an existing block wall. This wall currently, that's going to be demolished because that's going to end up being removed in order to allow for the accessibility for Sonic and for in and out to do the expansion and also have that shared accessibility. Here is the part of the In-N-Out expansion. As I mentioned, the expansion for the In-N-Out, which was previously approved back in October, will allow for queuing of In-N-Out, so that way it minimizes that impact that we currently get here on Fifth Street. So they are able to circulate. This area right here, these are the 10 parking spaces that will be provided to Sonic in order for them to be able to meet their parking requirement. They're gonna have little queuing areas so that cars can pull up. And also, you can eat in your car, typical of Sonic. And then they're gonna have the queuing to be able to rotate in and out of the site through the project area, through Fifth, for both accessibility in and out, and then through G Street just out. Here, as I mentioned, the floor area here is the little dining area for the indoor dining area, and the rest of this is all back of house. Here we have the proposed elevations for the existing Sonnet, so it's going to be a modern development with the pilasters, different elevations and variations and colors and materials to be used. For the proposed landscaping, they are going to be providing additional landscaping here on Fifth Street and as well on G Street. They are going to have some minor palm fronds kind of following the theme that we have there along Fifth Street to kind of blend in with the existing landscaping that is currently provided by In-N-Out and also will be provided as part of the expansion that they do. And with that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt resolution number 2023-017, finding the project categorically exempt pursuant to section 15303 for new construction or conversion of small structures, and also section 15332 infill development projects in accordance to CEQA, and approving conditional use permit 21-24 based on findings of fact and subject to the recommended conditions of approval. If you have any questions, I'm here for any questions, or we also have the applicants as well.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Does the applicant want to add anything? And we'll open up the public hearing.
Hello again. I just wanted to reiterate that I want to give my appreciation to Sonic because we did have a deal to sell them the entire land when we were told by the city of the issue, and In-N-Out had indicated that they would want to expand their queuing. It was a lot more brain damage than, and it was really no financial benefit, but I'm glad that we did it, and Sonic really worked with us to make that happen, and so did In-N-Out. Another thing I just want to mention is that as I was just talking to the gentleman from Sonic, I vastly underestimated the number of jobs we're creating because Sonic alone is creating 50 jobs. So I was thinking with 5-6 retailers, it's probably, I underestimated it. So
Thank you,
here
sir.
for any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any public comments?
Jim Lockington again? Okay.
Hello again. Jim Lockington representing In-N-Out Burger. I'm here tonight to express support for the proposed Sonic restaurant. The In-N-Out Burger lot expansion and the Sonic project are both purchasing our respective properties from the same seller who's been monopolizing the microphone tonight. In-N-Out, Sonic, and the property seller, we've worked very closely together to ensure that our shared Fifth Street access, the parking, and the circulation between In-N-Out and Sonic have been well thought out. As a property owner and adjacent neighboring business, In-N-Out welcomes the development of the presently vacant land. We believe the new Sonic restaurant will offer valuable food options to the community and provide significant economic benefit to the city. We encourage you to adopt the staff recommendation and approve the project. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? No? Okay. Commissioners, we'll start with Amelia. Oh, does Amelia have any? No comment? Okay, go ahead, Commissioner.
This is Commissioner Garcia. My only concerns, again, as stated in the previous Planning Commission meeting, is the traffic flow. It just looks a little bit concerning. I'm looking at one of the drawings for your preliminary site plan for Sonic, and I was just wondering if you have traffic overflow for the Sonic restaurant, where is traffic being stalled? Or how do they wrap around in that parking lot?
So the way that they wrap around, so essentially, they would come in south, they would need to wrap around, like going down this way. But usually, they do have enough queuing to be able to wrap around. And then they also have the stalls here, which a lot of individuals can go up into the stalls and get the food that way. But if there were to, say, go beyond that parameter, they are able to wrap down this way, which obviously is not ideal because there is existing parking area there. But hopefully with the immediate parking facilities that they have here, and then enough wraparound queuing, that will not be the case. It will hopefully minimize that that overflow into the parking area. Our traffic, there was a global traffic study that was done as part of the Sonic project, and so our traffic engineer did review it. And although there might be some overflow, it is going to be a lot less in comparison to what is currently existing at the site.
Yeah, it just seems that we're gonna have a lot of traffic off of Fifth Street at the entrance there. A lot of, traffic is gonna be coming into the restaurant for In-N-Out and some for Sonic. And
Correct.
it's
So
just,
there is going to be a lot of traffic. One of the additional benefits of having the expansion is that by having the additional expansion, although there is, I guess, there is additional traffic, at the same time, it will hopefully minimize some of the already existing traffic. I know it's not going to completely remove it, as I noticed when I walked to take pictures of the site, but hopefully it will alleviate some of that. And our traffic engineer, like I mentioned, they did review it. They approved it. They're gonna add additional minimizing buffers to be able to hopefully relieve some of that, but it's not gonna completely go away.
And I also wanted to mention, I'm in favor of the project. That's my only concern. It would be nice to see maybe some other options.
Well, I believe hopefully if we have more development within that area, hopefully with the future development, we're able to create better avenues for rectifying some of that congestion that we have there. I'm not sure if Caltrans currently has any plans to, because a lot of that section is controlled by Caltrans, so it would be a matter of working with Caltrans to see if they will be able to have any kind of future development that will help alleviate some of the traffic on the city right of way.
Thank you.
Commissioner Quill? Commissioner Flores?
Great. I echo the same concerns about traffic. I'm sure there was a traffic study for the original In-N-Out, and look where it got us. My question is, what's the point of these parking spots here if once there's overflow, they're basically useless?
So these, I believe there should be enough, so once they come in, so this was part of the previously approved In-N-Out project, so it's not part of this one. But to clarify, if a vehicle comes in, they can come in, pull in, and then be able to pull out. So that way they don't have to back out. That's why there's no medium here in the middle. So essentially, even though there's a car back here, there's still enough space for them to be able to go in and out of the site. So there's enough. And then maybe Gian may be able to add a little bit more. I'm trying to get into traffic engineering right now. Sorry, I apologize.
I have to say that Azam is very good at his job, and we worked on traffic for probably about 6 months, going through, trying to resolve all the issues that he had. And one thing that you should know is that both this project and the Quick Quack, and also to a certain extent the In and Out, we've made dedications for street widening, and this project and Quick Quack is actually paying into to the city. So when the time comes that there's, that the city feels that there's too much traffic on that street, they have the funds and the capability to go ahead and widen it. And also, go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, good evening. My name is Devin Westlink. I'm the Sonic Drive-In franchisee. Wanted to just further clarify a little bit about the Sonic model and the drive-in stalls that you were mentioning. We have very adequate stacking on this location for the drive-through. We're no In and Out where we have that, incredible overflow, but we do have at our peak time maybe 8 to 10 cars, which would sufficiently handle that. As well as what's unique with Sonic is the drive-through lane is actually not locked in. And so we are a drive-in concept, and we have skating car hops that will serve you at the car stalls where we could have you pull off into, or they could do the transaction in the drive-through line and have the cars continue on. So it essentially speeds up the drive-through line.
And I should also mention that, In and Out is a unique establishment. I mean, I've never been to an In and Out that they didn't queue out into the street. I don't know how many of you like In and Out, but it's almost universal, and kudos to them. They do good business, but they worked hard in this case to make sure that it doesn't happen, and it might be one of the few that doesn't.
And so again, with the Sonic though, as well, with the drive-in stall component, as well as the dining and patio, and then the drive-through, it's a pretty well-balanced mix there for us, in comparison to some other concepts that are more drive-through heavy. So we have a good balance in, looking at this location compared to what we're used to seeing. This is very sufficient stacking, and I don't see it being a problem long term. So, thank you.
And if I heard you correctly, you said the projection did estimate potential overflow.
No, I said if there was within the traffic set, if there was a potential to be overflowed, then they could potentially wrap here. But as Devin clarified, just the schematics of how the Sonic franchise runs, that shouldn't be a concern at all.
Got it. I'm curious to see how Rave Day will look like here. And I think that'll be the real test of whether these traffic studies are accurate.
Rave Day. Oh, okay. I forgot about our Rave Day. Sorry, I don't attend those.
You kept saying, I hope we can, whatever it is. Can we rectify the congestion issues already? Or this is as good as it gets? I don't know. I don't know how that works. Because I keep hearing, I hope.
I have to say again, I think the I hope is that maybe it's just how someone talks, but I can tell you, we've been through this rigorously with Azam, who's with traffic, and we've spent a lot of time in addressing all his issues, and we feel very, very confident that it won't spill over into Fifth Street. And I think what Elizabeth was saying was that if by chance, if there is the slight possibility on a rave night that it does, they can take care of it within their property to queue in a different way, within the site, not outside the site.
Yeah, I think it's a great project. Do I think there'll be times when traffic will be heavier there than we would like it to be? Probably. I mean, the mall is crowded at Christmas. What do you do? I'd like to see that type of a certain level of that type of activity in our city. I see it when I go to Rancho. I see it at Mountain Grove. I mean, people are just packing in there, and I'm excited about our Fifth Street Gateway. It's going to be a main entrance. And so, yeah, we want to see all the beautiful buildings and people just enjoying and getting hamburgers and all that stuff. So I'm all for it. I would like to know, though, real quick, I know that, I think I heard that Quick Quack has some EV charging stations in there, or where?
I think that every establishment, and I don't know.
So I want to make sure that we stay on this topic. We already talked about Quick Quack, and that was another item.
Well, I'm not talking about Quick Quack. I'm talking about where are I haven't heard a lot about charging stations.
Yeah, so I'm somewhat of an expert in charging stations. I don't know if you remember last time I mentioned that I built the first privately owned supercharger in the country back in 2010 when there was not even an electric vehicle on the road yet. But I don't know. But I could tell you that I believe that the state requirement now is that you have to be outfitted for charging stations.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, just knowing this area so well, by the time you go in and you have a bite, you might charge your car for like 10 miles or 15 miles. Superchargers are the way to do it, or you charge at home at the office. That's really, realistically, if I was the governor, I'd say let's put all the money into that side, because that's where you're going to have real impact.
So there are
They have 3, by the way. They have 3 on the
10 down in the southern, right there. There you go.
Oh, there are 3 charging stations there?
3 that are, as you said,
set
up.
They're
like
set up for a charging station. It's because a lot goes into it. You have to have, the conduits. You have to have a bigger switchgear. You have to, it's that part of it that's the more difficult part. Just putting a charging station, it's not as, but it's been set up to accept the charging station.
And what will determine when that is utilized, or when it's brought up to full, okay, you can go in and...
Knowing the charging station model that I typically see is, there's companies like ChargePoint, there's Blink, there's other that their model is they come in where they think that there's demand, they put in their charging stations if it's already been outfitted for a charging station, and then they charge for the charger.
So then, just to be clear, we'll have the infrastructure there, but not an operator.
That's correct.
Operator.
Okay, thank you.
Unless one comes along and wants to put one there, so that's it.
Yeah. And then as in reference to signage, are these all going to be up on the Fifth Street Gateway marquee?
Yes, that was a big selling point. We're trying to bring traffic off the freeway into the city so they spend their money here. So that was really, that was an important aspect of it.
All right, thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you. Did I understand that you are, are you widening the street, or you're providing money to the city to widen the street?
We have done the dedication, and we are providing, we're paying into the widening that the city will do at some point when they come in to widen. Because it doesn't, you don't want to have all these jagged, so we're paying in, and then the city will come in at some point in the future when this becomes necessary to widen the street.
Is there anyone from Public Works here?
No, there's not. I put a request to Public Works, but no one is here tonight.
So doesn't the city have a certain period of time to be able to use those funds that developers give to the city? Isn't it about 5 years?
I'm not an expert. None of us are experts in that, but that's my understanding, but I can't say it definitively.
Can we get that answer at a later time?
Yes. Yeah.
And can we find out when the city plans on using those funds to widen the street?
Yes, we can make that request.
Thank you.
So I like the project. I think it's going to bring a lot of color to that area. It's much needed some much needed color to that corner, definitely right off the freeway. You know, we're tired of seeing those vacant lots. We're trying to make sure these things, these projects make sense. The dog leg that In and Out and Sonic will be sharing, we talked about that wall going away, right? That wall going away. I think that's a good help for the traffic that's currently there. In and Out's gonna have traffic. I don't care if you put them on a football field. It's gonna have traffic. We gotta just live with it or don't eat In and Out, right? But you know, we're definitely concerned about the traffic. Looking at the site map, I can't see if it's the clarity, if it's left in right out on G, so heading, is that a flow of traffic? Right, okay. Right in, right out there. Gotcha. So I think. Okay, yeah. I mean, I think that makes perfect sense for that. Fifth is going to have traffic regardless because of all the county workers and whatnot. But the right out on G is still, you know, would deter traffic going south. So I think that's going to help. The dog leg. I mean, I like the project. I think it's it makes total sense right there. And then the Sonic usually has controlled traffic like Devin mentioned. I mean, the skating and then the park, you know, whatnot. So I like the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Okay. We'll close the public hearing and call for may I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Call for the vote?
Okay, Chair Guerrero?
Yes.
Vice Chair Armstead? Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia?
Yes.
Commissioner Quill? Commissioner Flores?
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis?
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia?
Yes.
Okay, it's approved.
Thank you. Welcome. Okay, moving on to item number 5, staff report, please.
Good evening. Item number 5 is Conditional Use Permit 22-09. This is for the proposal of an express drive-through car wash on a parcel containing approximately 1.26 acres located at 1435 East Highland Avenue within the Commercial General Zone. Here we have our zoning. As I mentioned, is within our Commercial General Zone. The properties to the north, west, and east is within our Commercial General Zone as well. The property to the south is within our Residential Zone. Here we have an aerial view. It is surrounded by commercial uses with a vacant lot in the rear to the south. The building will consist of a 3,596 square foot express drive-through car wash with operations from Monday through Sunday from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. with approximately 2 to 4 team members per shift. There will be in and out access from one 26-foot wide driveway along East Highland. There will be 3 drive-through lanes to accommodate for stacking. The site will provide 3 parking spaces and 17 parking vacuum stalls. Here we have a view of the existing site. This is from Highland. It is vacant. Here we have our site plan. We have the 3 queuing areas for the cars to go in. It was in and out access from Highland. We have the 3 parking stalls along with the 17 vacuum stalls. The site does meet the Development Code landscaping requirements. There will be a landscape buffer along East Highland to better screen the drive-through aisles from the public right-of-way. Here we have our west elevation and east elevation of the building. With that said, Staff recommends Planning Commission adopt resolution number 2023-018, finding the project categorically exempt in accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act and approving Conditional Use Permit 22-09 based on the findings of facts and subject to the recommended conditions of approval. That concludes staff presentation. I am here for any questions, and the applicant is here as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and open up public hearing. Does the applicant want to add anything? Mr. Baird, we'll have you sworn in, please.
Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. I'm not going to add a lot to what Gian said as regards specifically to car washes and the demand for them in the community and all the surrounding communities. Honestly, it's a phenomenon that's going on in every city around here, largely being driven by the drought to some degree, because people are being pushed away from washing their cars at home. But I wanted to give you a little background on this site. As many of you know, that used to be the Gourmet Diner. We developed the conversion of the bowling alley next door to a county medical facility, which has been a very good addition to that neighborhood. The Gourmet Diner burned down 2 years ago, and we worked pretty hard we had looked at acquiring that when we were doing the bowling alley conversion, but they weren't ready. Anyway, we ended up with the site. We think this is a good use. There's not a car wash in every corner in this part of the city, and it will be something that will be well used and will be a good addition to that part of Highland Avenue, which is having its own little renaissance, frankly. Slowly but surely, we're seeing development crop up along Highland Avenue that is improving the view of that corridor, and this will be an additional one of those items. And we have put in a lot of landscaping because we had some extra room left over to beef up the landscaping on this site. So, I live in that neighborhood, not far, and I'm excited about this addition coming into the city. If you have technical questions, I have the guy that my architect, Chris Post here, who can answer any legitimate questions. So thank you for consideration.
Great, thank you. Commissioners? Commissioner Lopez?
I have no questions at this time.
Commissioner Garcia? Commissioner Quill?
Yeah, Mr. Beard, I have a question of you. What are you going to do with that historic gourmet sign? Are you going to use that part of your sign program? A piece of history in our city.
Yeah, no, it is. You saw we rehabbed the bowling alley sign next door. The owners actually asked us to let them take that sign. We have not had any contact with them since we acquired the property, and we're not incorporating that existing sign into the current plan. It's a little less creative than the bowling alley sign was, for sure, which I think you guys did originally. So the short answer is we had committed to the property owner that they could come and take it. We'll reach out to them before we tear it down to see if they still want to do that, but our plan is to put a new sign there. Thank you. It is, definitely.
Same comments I had regarding car washes. There are 2 car washes just up the street from that one already. I don't know how old they are, but there's 2 car washes right near Waterman. They're very close to each other. So, same concern, another car wash.
Sorry, quick question. We received a new packet. Just want staff to specify what's the difference between this and the online.
This one was item number 6.
That's 2209.
That was for the 5th Street Quick Quack. The revision for that was the site address, but that was for the 5th Street Quick Quack.
Oh, it's subdivision 2209. Got it. Thank you.
Commissioner Lewis has no questions on this. Don't seem so shocked.
State for the record, please. Commissioner Garcia.
I'm not sure if I missed it, but did we have a rendering of the project? We might have skipped through them pretty quick. Okay.
Yes, so we have the elevations of the west and the east.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Oh.
I just want to make one clarification on the package you received. It's the conditions state that we're required to do a lot merger because current, it was 2 parcels. And I just wanted to bring to your attention that that's already been done and recorded, approved and recorded.
Thank you, sir. Okay. No other questions, comments? We'll close the public hearing and call for a motion, please.
I'll make a motion that the Planning Commission adopt resolution number 2023-018, approving conditional use permit 22-09, based on the findings and facts and subject to recommended conditions of approval.
I'll second. For the vote, please.
Chair Guerrero?
Yes.
Vice Chair Armstead? Commissioner Lopez? Commissioner Garcia?
Yes.
Commissioner Quill?
Yes.
Commissioner Flores?
Yes.
Commissioner Lewis?
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrick?
Yes.
And Commissioner Garcia?
Yes.
Okay, it's approved.
Thank you. Welcome. We'll go ahead and thank you. Thank you. We'll go on to item number 6. Staff report, please.
Testing. All right, good evening, commissioners. My name is Mike Rosales, Associate Planner with the Planning Division. Tonight, item number 6 is Conditional Use Permit 22-13 and Public Convenience or Necessity Letter 22-06. The proposed project is a new ABC Alcoholic Beverage Control Type License 20 for off-sale beer and wine for a previously approved gas station and convenience store, which was a Chevron. It is located at 4304 East Highland Avenue at APN 1199-311-21 within the Commercial General 1 CG1 zone. Here we have our zoning map. As you can see, it's well within its Commercial General 1 zone. Here we have the aerial map. We do have Walmart down here, which is a large retail user. We do have Aldi a little bit to the south. Over here we have Bonji Car Wash. And then over here we have, which is the Bear Springs new hotel that they just built from the San Manuel, the Amava tribe. Here we have elevations looking south. As you can see, very nice landscaping. They have upkept all their landscaping, all their standards, conditions of approval. They do have EV chargers. Here we have looking southeast. We had our city's best here today, the police department doing their patrol. Here we have the north slide looking towards the mountains. All right, so a little background. In November of 1997, the Planning Commission approved Conditional Use Permit 97-16, allowing the development, establishment, and operation of the existing service station, which is Chevron. Currently, there are 3 allowed existing active off-sale licenses within the census tract. The allowance of a new Type 20 ABC license would bring the number of off-sale licenses to 4, which would cause an over-concentration of licenses by 1. With the over-concentration of off-sale licenses, the applicant required a public convenience and necessity letter. So there are 3 off-sale licenses within proximity of the project site. We have the 7-Eleven, which is about a mile away. We have the Aldi, which is a large retailer, and on the Walmart, which is adjacent to the project. as justified within the attached public convenience and necessity letter, which is attachment B of the resolution, and reiterated and updated within the revised resolution, which you have in front of you. It should be 23019. If you look on page 3, finding of fact 2, I highlighted it, and there's a little bit of changes there. The previous approved service station and convenience store would be an asset to the surrounding neighborhood and the shoppers that visit the location, as they don't have time for shopping at larger retail stores, and will offer the community a variety of products, including beer and wine, at one convenient stop, while eliminating the need for excess shopping. Chevron is a national chain operator with a strong reputation as a good operator in the neighborhoods throughout the Inland Empire. The previously approved service station with convenience store would be an asset to the surrounding neighborhood, and the addition of an ABC Type 20 license to the previously approved service station and convenience store would provide an added convenience to residents and workers in the neighborhood, and a convenience to all shoppers that visit the location. Furthermore, issuance of the proposed ABC Type 20 license will serve public convenience or necessity, providing alcoholic beverages sales within the previously approved service station and convenience store, potentially eliminating the need for additional shopping trips. And to add, no more than 5% of the store's products will be dedicated to beer and wine. The proposed project will be appropriately conditioned to address security measures. The convenience store, we put into the resolution these conditions on top of the other conditions provided by the police department. The convenience store shall maintain a minimum of 2 employees on site during any hour in which alcohol beverages are sold. The convenience store shall install a security system capable of directly contacting the police department in the event of an emergency. Security cameras shall be installed so that adequate coverage is provided to monitor activities on the entire project site. All criminal and suspicious activities recorded by or viewed on such surveillance equipment must be reported to local law enforcement. To the extent allowed by law, the establishment owner, manager, and employees are required to provide any footage, tapes, or other recording media from the security cameras to the police department when they ask for it. Number of cameras and locations shall be reviewed and approved by the planning division and installed prior to the issuance of any type of certificate of occupancy. So as a further measure for their employees, training will also be provided to employees via a crime deterrence program, operations alert program, and the Come to Age program, which are all dedicated to training the employees of training them for proper alcohol sales and for safety. So there was no recommendation by the city's police department. However, the property has been in operation for 26 years and has minimal incidents within those 26 years and only 1 alcohol-related incident within the last year. So here we have our floor plan, pretty basic. It's the extra mile floor plan like all Chevrons have. And today our recommendation is that the Planning Commission adopt resolution number 2023-019, finding the project categorically exempt pursuant to section 15301 from the CEQA Act, and approving conditional use permit 22-13 and public convenience or necessity letter 22-06 based on the findings of fact and recommended conditions of approval. I could take any questions, and we also have the applicant here for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the applicant want to add anything? We'll open up the public hearing. Come forward, please.
Good evening, Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Sherry Olson on behalf of GM Oil. We recently put into another about $500,000 to the site itself. Exterior-wise, we put in about $300,000, and then we increased our POS systems in the store. So we have a lot of services that we have and protection measures in our stores. We have lockable cooler doors that can be locked at the cash registers itself. We also have a tremendous amount of security cameras. We work with a local PD, and we have some of the conditions of approval that are already in there. We already are doing and implemented into our store. We haven't had any policing issues. We work really well with the police department. This is something that we have in probably about 98% of our stores. We carry beer and wine, and we train our employees very well, and we do not tolerate any loitering around our premises. And that's probably why we haven't had any police calls or police services, because we are very good about implementing good security measures in our, all of our sites. We do have also a security secret shopper program that we have, that we shop our stores for for any age-restricted products to make sure of compliance. So we really pride ourselves in being a good retailer out there and keeping our sites very clean and welcoming to all the local neighbors. We're here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Do we have anyone? No public comments? Okay, commissioners? Commissioner Garcia? Commissioner Quill? Commissioner Flores?
One question, if I'm reading the public necessity letter correctly, would alcohol be sold 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m.?
That would be correct.
Got it. Those are my questions.
I'm looking at the finding of fact, and there's 3 existing licenses, and this one takes us over our limit. So
Correct.
I just want to remind everyone, it will take us over the limit. Be aware.
Is there an issue with being over the limit?
Well, the way they dish out the PCN, or excuse me, the alcohol beverage license is the amount of rooftops in the vicinity. Being that there's not a lot of residential, that's the only reason why they limited the amount of ABC licenses that are allowed. So with the public convenience and necessity letter, if we can prove that through the findings of fact that it's a public necessity or it would be convenient to the population around that area, then that's when we go ahead and put that into play. Doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing. It just means that ABC established these standards, and for us to go above the standard, we would have to make the findings of fact.
No other public comment?
Nope.
Okay. We'll close the public hearing, and may I entertain a motion, please?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that the Planning Commission adopt resolution number 2023-019, approving conditional use permit 22-13 and public convenience or necessity letter 2206, based on the finding of facts and subject to the recommended conditions of approval.
I'll second.
Okay, Chair Guerrero?
Yes.
Vice Chair Armstead? Commissioner Lopez?
No.
Commissioner Garcia?
Yes.
Commissioner Quill?
Yes.
Commissioner Flores?
No.
Commissioner Lewis?
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrick?
Yes.
And Commissioner Garcia?
Yes.
Okay, it's approved.
Thank you very much.
If we can go ahead and take a 5-minute break or are we okay to move on?
We have one
Last item. Huh?
So it's up to you.
Oh, because Commissioner
okay.
Lopez
Oh.
just stepped out.
Okay, that's fine.
So if we can just take a break until she returns? Okay. Ahead and resume the meeting with item number 7, staff report, please.
Item number 7, good evening. Item number 7 is development permit type P 22-06. This is for the construction of 20 single-family residences containing approximately 3,219 square feet with attached 3-car garage containing approximately 675 square feet on a previously approved tentative track map 17329. The project site is located on the northwest corner of West Ohio Avenue and North Little League Drive within the residential estate zone. The project site area for this specific phase of the track is approximately 24.68 acres. Here we have the project site. This is for the 20 homes. Currently, this tentative track consists of the development of 95 homes. 75 of those homes have been already previously approved under a previous development permit. So this is just for the remaining 20 homes within that track. Here, as I mentioned, this is within the residential estate. It is surrounded by residential estate zone property and residential low. That is all going to be consistent of single-family residential. Here's a sky view of the project site, which is up here on the northern end within the Verdamont Drive area. So this is from that area. Currently, right now, they are working on expanding the roads, connecting the roads throughout that whole site. For the single-family residences, it is going to be contained a bedroom. It's one floor area, one floor plan, consisting of 2 architectures, a contemporary farmhouse and a mountain design that are both going to have earth tone types of colors. It's going to be 1 master bedroom, 1 master bath, 2 standard bedrooms, and then they're also going to have 2 standard bathrooms. There will be an option for the size of this home where they'll have an option to do an additional bedroom or parlor or dining or office area. It will have a 1/2 bathroom as well. Additional amenities could potentially be a retreat or fitness room within the master bedroom. A great room will have an open floor plan with open living room and kitchen facilities. They will have standardized pantry as well as an option for a bar and butler's pantry area. So it is going to be a pretty sizable home. There is, as I mentioned, there is going to be a new road extension access on North Little League Drive. So Little League Drive will be extended to connect to these 20 additional homes. And then also Verdamont Drive is either in the process or will be in the process of having those internal extensions as well. The landscaping will be consistent of drought-tolerant, like non-invasive plants, evergreen trees, perennials, succulents, and other types of organic ground cover materials. So it's going to be pretty diverse. Here, as I mentioned, this is the previously approved tentative track map that was approved back in 2006. This is the current elevations for the contemporary farmhouse design for the homes. And this is the mountain design for the homes. As I mentioned, here's the existing floor plan. There is going to be 3 car garages, the option for the living room, master bedroom, and additional amenities. So it is going to be a pretty diverse floor plan. I do want to mention before we move forward, as part of the proposal, they are proposing to do accessory dwelling units as well as junior accessory dwelling units. That's not part of this proposal because the state regulations prohibits the cities from taking any discretionary action. So therefore, that's why that was not presented to you in the staff information or the resolution. So this is just for the homes because we're not able to regulate at a discretionary level. This is the front landscaping typical. As I mentioned, it is going to be a diverse of evergreen trees, ground cover, drought-tolerant landscaping. So it's going to be pretty diverse and varied. And with that, we recommend that the Planning Commission adopt resolution number 2023-020, directing the Planning Commission Secretary to prepare and file with the Clerk of the Board of the County of San Bernardino a notice of determination as provided under Public Resources Code Section 21152A and CEQA Guidelines Section 15075, and approving development permit type P 22-06 based on findings of fact and subject to the recommended conditions of approval. If you have any questions regarding the project development, the applicant is here as well, and I can potentially answer some of those questions as well.
Thank you. Does the applicant want to add anything? We'll open up the public hearing.
Thank you. First of all, can I see a show of hands that any one of you have come to our site and at least reviewed it? Very good. And those that haven't, I welcome you. What we have on our project here is pretty unique. There's, I don't think there's anybody in the, at least in the Inland Empire that I know of, that's building homes with ADU units. The purpose in us doing that was because, you know, the majority of the people that have purchased our homes have put their parents in the back. And we've found that it's a very, it's turned out to be a very unique product in the sense that, you know, as we get older, you know, these people, their parents don't have to go to these homes. They can stay with them, and it's almost like a compound for their family. What we're doing, so if you've come to our models, you'll see what we have. We have a detached and an attached. This location here was zoned for estate lots, 1 acres, so that's a large parcel. So what we've done is provided single stories with an attached ADU for the moms and dads that want to come, that can enter into the house, or they can enter from the side. Especially if you want to be close to them, if they have, you know, health issues. But we're also providing a detached 2-bedroom unit in the back. So what we're finding is affordable for families, because a lot of families are staying together because, you know, everything is so costly out there. That's kind of what we've provided. I mean, we have an interest list already filled up on that 20. And I think this product's going to be unique because it's going to be the first product in San Bernardino that's going to be over $1 million. And we're bringing value to this location, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised about what San Bernardino has to offer now. So just wanted to bring that to your attention, and if anybody wants to come out there, I would be glad to give you my personal, you know, walk through the project. So, okay.
Thank you.
I'm curious, I think it's an awesome project, but why are you selecting to classify those homes as ADUs and not call them casitas? Perhaps because the positioning of them, or you can build closer to the property line?
Casita is just a name that they put on, you know, an extra unit. We built the first casitas in that area, by the way, in 2005.
Yeah.
We built 200 homes there with a casita that was attached to the main house, which had a bedroom and a bathroom, no kitchen. The ADUs provide, you can have a junior ADU, I mean, the state calls them ADU, accessory dwelling units. Accessory dwelling units is what they're called. But the attached junior ADU doesn't have a stove, but it has everything else that you need. You can put a refrigerator in there, microwave, you know, it has your bedroom, bathroom, etc. The ADU in the back is a full house. It's got everything, full stove, just a little tiny house. But to answer your question, that's a proper name for it. ADU is what the state has allowed us to do.
Okay.
You know.
Okay, so you're going to have an additional house in the back and then also an ADU next to the house?
It's a junior ADU that's attached.
Okay.
But you can't have a full stove in there.
I see.
So you can have it. It's let's see, Lennar Gen X product is something similar to that, if you've ever seen that. It's an attached product, and it really just has your little sink, and it has an area for a refrigerator, dishwasher if you want. So that would be ours also. So that would be your junior ADU. And then the one in the back, the unit in the back is really a house. It's a 2-bedroom house.
Okay, is there any additional parking? There's no additional parking with the junior ADU,
But
but
you
is
have
there
a-
additional parking with the other
No,
house?
but you have 1 acre. You have plenty of parking on 1 acre. 1 acre's a huge piece.
And I would just add, city cannot require additional parking for ADUs and junior ADUs per
Right.
state law. So
Right. But does the city require additional parking for the additional small house in the back?
that would be an ADU, and we cannot require additional parking at all.
Okay. Okay, thanks for your info.
But to answer your question, that size of that lot, you can easily drive back there.
Yeah,
Separate house.
sure.
You can have, all parking can be on site.
That's a pretty creative project. I would like to see it. Yeah, it's awesome.
Just call me and I'll
Thank you.
personally take you through it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lopez? Anything? Commissioner Garcia?
Should we continue with public comment?
Yes, do we have any?
Yeah.
Thank
Barbara?
you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to come. I sent you some information earlier, and I'm sorry about the penmanship. I broke my hand, and it's hard to write, so I hope you can understand it. This project was approved in 2006. So many things have changed, and it was a mitigated declaration, like everything else that goes through the city of San Bernardino. When there is a big change, and this is a big change because everything that they're building up in Vermont has another unit attached to it. So, more traffic, more cars, we can't get in and out as it is. They're not doing anything to the infrastructure. When you look in the government codes on these things, they don't want to put people in harm's way. Now, I can remember when Oliver brought these ADUs to the mayor and the council. He said that you couldn't build them in high fire, earthquake areas. That's exactly what Vermont is. And right now, the residents can't get out if there's a fire. It's going to be another paradise. But yet they continue to put more homes on us, more traffic. I live a mile from the freeway on Palm. It takes me 20 minutes to get on the freeway. An officer told me at the last fire, and this is 2003, if it's mandatory that you have to leave, we cannot get you out of here. Now, you remember we have the college traffic, there's just Kendall Avenue, and there's Palm, and there's University. And you know what University Avenue looks like. Okay, I have a question, though. It says right here, Government Code Section 65852-22. J, that's junior ADUs, are limited to 1 per residential lot with a single-family residence. Lots with multiple detached single-family dwellings are not eligible to have JADUs. Isn't that contradicting what he just said? No, okay, explain. No, I know you're not going to. All right, last Wednesday, we noticed that there was dump trucks again, bringing in debris, dumping it off. Big boulders, cement, dirt. I called Councilman Ben Reynoso. He talked to Freeman, and I wish he was here this evening because he texted me back and said, they do not have a permit to do this. Everything that they're doing right at the moment is illegal. So once again, we're having another expo because the city is not doing anything about it. Now, that down in the right-hand corner is where the basin was that flooded Vermont in November 9th of 2022. Oh, please. Oh, gosh. They're going to put houses on top of it, and they're going to have to bring in 40 feet of fill. They can't compact it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hank Mitchell?
Okay.
Hank Mitchell, Vermont. A 17-year-old project.
And that was the last time you did studies for this project. How's that for old? No new EIRs, no traffic studies, no drainage studies. And this project was looked forward to back then. I remember that. We all looked forward to it. It was going to be a big thing for us. But in the last few months, they've had a lot of problems up there and caused a lot of damage to my neighbors. Thousands and thousands of dollars of damage because of the flooding, a poorly engineered catch basin that broke twice, and then the third time it went down the street. That was when the school kids were getting out and the parents and the kids couldn't get together. They're screaming and the kids were scared. They have been stripping that hillside for fill for phases 1 and 2, and the city allowed it. Thus, they built a basin that had a poor structure right over a riparian stream, and when that basin broke, it broke from underneath, not over the top. It wasn't full. It was soft soil. They didn't compact it. My question is, you're going to need fill. Where are you going to get it? Are you going to strip another hill the same way and cause more problems? Because he's going to be building more projects up into 60% grade hill, not 15 or 12. And the steeper the grade, the city has no ability to enforce any kind of structures up here or building grading because they let this fail and they're going to go into steeper grades soon. You guys have got to require the city to have infrastructure and have somebody that knows what they're doing to go out there and inspect these jobs and hope that and it wasn't him that caused the problem, it was his engineers and the grading engineers. I'm blaming them, not Felix. He's just who he hired. But it failed, and it failed miserably. Up till the rains came, I'd have gone to the wall for Felix. But after all these floods and the problems we've had, we've come to kind of part our ways because he's been my favorite developer up there all these years. But Felix, your people have just cost us too much money up there and too much hurt. Homes flooded, driveways washed out, it really hurt a lot of our neighbors. So we've got to have the city go up there with some smart inspectors, have some smart engineers that know what they're doing to design grading and stop grading and stripping the root stock off of the hillsides. We don't get 48 to 70 inches of rain every year. Felix has fought with rains over the years. I felt sorry for him, but this year it affected the neighbors. It wasn't just the roadways. We can't let this happen. The city's got to be able to enforce good craftsmanship in developing these lands up here and stop working with 17-year-old studies.
Thank you, sir.
That's it for
Anyone else? No? Okay. So we'll go through commissioners. Commissioner Lopez? Commissioner Garcia? Commissioner Quill?
I think I understand what you're talking about, and I think that there should be possibly some consideration given to updating the studies, because over time, I don't care what industry or manufacturing you're into, every year, every couple years, conditions change, codes change, upgrades are needed, and so on. So if in fact the plan was approved that far back, shouldn't it be looked at by the engineers again?
So the map exists. It's a recorded map, and therefore we cannot change that. The lots exist. So we can't change the density or the layout or anything like that. That's approved. They have that entitled right. In terms of grading, when they come forward for the grading permits, that's a public works responsibility, and the engineers in public works will evaluate what studies would be needed at the time, if any. That's their purview. So I don't know that's just not our area of expertise, and so I just can't answer any specifics about what studies would be required or the ability for them to even require that.
Well, it makes sense to me that it should be looked at, because I'm sure rules and laws and everything have changed, And if in fact we have been carving away some of the hillside, it should be looked at for future wet seasons like we have this year. And so I think it's a good point, especially when a project is approved quite a few years ago, and now we're not revisiting that. I just think it might be a good idea. Thank you.
We can pass that message on to
Yeah.
Public Works.
I was wondering if staff could answer the questions that our two public comments asked. So the first one was on getting clarity on having a JADU and ADU on top of a single-family home.
First, I just want to remind everyone that we're only looking at the single-family homes right now. We cannot evaluate the ADUs or junior ADUs by state law with the Planning Commission. But I can tell you the state law allows any single-family home to have one ADU and one junior ADU. An ADU is freestanding. It could be in an existing detached garage that's converted, or it can be a new built, or it could be a conversion of some other structure. A junior ADU must be attached to the primary house. It's intended to be incidental to the primary house. That's the junior ADU. And as the gentleman mentioned, it cannot be fully independent. An ADU can be fully independent, so it's not considered by state law a second primary unit. And so there was the public commenter mentioned, that referenced a state government code that said any property with two primary dwelling units cannot have a junior ADU. That's true. An ADU does not count as a primary dwelling unit. An ADU is an ADU. Also mentioned that once you have a junior ADU, which this project does, but we're not discussing this specific project. Once you have a junior ADU, it requires owner occupancy. That means the owner of that property must live in one of the units, whether it's 2 units or 3 units. And so that is, some added surety for properties like this, where you want the owner to be invested. You don't want absentee landlords. So that's one thing that's written into state law to require that owner occupancy. And it's required that be recorded on as part of the deed for the property. So does that answer your questions about ADUs and junior ADUs?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And yeah, just to reiterate what Elizabeth mentioned is that we cannot have any discretion over ADUs and junior ADUs. We just have to check that they meet all the requirements. They meet the setback, the size restrictions, the height, that sort of thing. And then we have to approve them if they check all the boxes, basically.
Great. Thank you. And I also just want to reiterate the comments that folks' property was damaged due to an error in the engineering and the drainage basin. And I went to a meeting at Berta Mountain Community, and it was really disheartening and sad to see people be affected that way. So I just gives me a lot of pause for any projects in this area. And my last comment is about evacuation routes. I know we're updating our general plan. I'm not confident that our requirements for the general plan around evacuation routes and climate adaptation resiliency are in alignment with having no real evacuation plan for this area in the city.
I have one more public comment.
Yes, please.
Jonathan?
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Jonathan Seamson, working with GFR Homes. I wanted to clarify just a couple of things that was in the presentation and also through public comment. This is the final phase of track 17329, which has been developed for phases 1, 2, and 3. The improvements that were made for those lots included the full development of Little League all the way from Myers to Verdamont. In addition, Verdamont Drive has been improved in front of the -3 portion of the project and will be extended as a part of the frontage on the north edge of this property. This property also takes into consideration upstream drainage issues from the mountainside that brings it into the tract and into the developed storm drain system that was approved for this project. There's two 48-inch storm drain pipes that connect the upper Verdamont area into the existing, I believe it's a 78-inch pipe in Myers that then goes down to Cable Creek. So a lot of those improvements have been made. Tonight's focus in front of you is in regards to the architecture for this previously entitled and approved project. The improvement plans for this project are in a second plan check, and with all due importance, under significant scrutiny because of the public concern for drainage and other issues related to the development. We're always going to face as developers opposition to our projects, but I do feel like this is a project that will supplement the area. It's fully entitled. It has state and city approval, and we hope that you agree that the product that we'd like to put on these approved lots are one that you can support. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, it looks like a beautiful project, and I know our hands are tied with ADUs and junior ADUs. But when we're talking about public safety, the safety of our residents, that's something that we really need to look into a little further. How can we make this right? Is that something that we need to involve Public Works?
I really wish we had someone from Public Works here this evening to address those concerns. Unfortunately, we don't.
So then is this an item that we
If I
would feel
may-
comfortable?
If I may add, I incorporated the mitigation monitoring and reporting program that was approved as part of the original subdivision and development permit as part of the exhibits in the packet. And within there are some mitigation measures where they included that prior to issuance of the grading permit, a geotechnical study of the east bank of Myers Creek Road adjacent to the project shall be prepared to determine if erosion of the bank constitutes a hazard to lots adjoining the creek. If so, the report should include recommended protective measures that can be accomplished within that boundary of the track. They also have additional mitigation measures that an erosion control plan shall be prepared and implemented for the proposed project that identifies specific erosion control measures to control the on-site and off-site erosion from the time of the ground disturbing activities are initiated through completion of grading. This erosion control plan shall include the following measures at a minimum. And more than likely, those minimums have increased per state regulations and guidelines. But specify the timing of grading and construction to minimize soil exposure to rainy periods of experience in Southern California. An inspection and maintenance program shall be included to ensure that erosion that does not occur either on-site or off-site as a result of this project will be corrected through a remediation or restoration program within a specified time frame. And then filing a notice of intent and obtaining a project permit will be required through the Water Quality Control Board relating to a National Pollution Discharge Elimination System, which is NPDS, standard prior to the beginning of grading work. So these are just some of the mitigations that were included as part of the previously approved. It's an intense list that I attach as a appendix to the resolution. And essentially, it would be up to, a lot of these are public works related, so I can definitely forward the mitigations over to our public works department, so that way they can make sure that that these are being enforced completely for the project site.
And I'll just, for your benefit, that what Elizabeth is referencing begins on page 349 of the PDF of the entire packet of your staff report. And so this, I think that was a great catch, and that's legally binding.
But with these reports and these, would all be subject to approvals, but we would have to approve the project before, correct?
No, those are already in place with the map that was previously approved. So that environmental study and the mitigation monitoring program is already approved, adopted, and so that's legally binding currently.
And that was at the initial
The approval of the map
in
and subdivision.
2006.
Yes.
So
you are
how can
only
we
looking at the homes that are going on these lots.
But is there a way of having that revisited? And considering that it's been adopted, 2006, can we?
No, not unless there's a violation that the city can enforce of one of these conditions or monitoring and reporting.
And if there was dumping, wouldn't that be a violation?
Yeah, that would be, Public Works would be the responsible department for responding to that or addressing that issue.
So is this something that, once commissioners speak, is this something that we could table till our next meeting with representation of Public Works here?
Yeah, so you would be able to continue the item, but that would be up to the commission.
Right, thank you. Okay, I'll move on.
I'm agreeing with Commissioner Quayle. And also, I would like to see it tabled and have Public Works come. There's too many questions. Like Commissioner Quayle said, we really need to have some of these studies updated. We've had a lot of environmental issues since 2006 that have changed what's going on. And before we further impact the existing residents, we need to have it updated, and we need Public Works to explain what's going on, because it's not clarity, and I don't want to.
Excuse me.
Yes.
we're here for the. So
hearing
I
is-
want to make sure that the chair, if you're okay with him speaking again, it's up to you if you have any questions or anything for it.
Actually, let's go ahead and get through the commissioner comments first, please.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Well, this is interesting. I think it's a beautiful project. It is, wow. I'd like to live up there one day, but I'd like not to slide down. I've been up in on Ohio Road there. It's really starting. You're right at the foot of the mountains right there. And I did see when I was up there on some other homes that were being built, it may have been one of your stages that is completed now. And there was a very large wash area, and that area had it looked like it was probably about a 30 inch, maybe 30 inch or so drain pipe that went out of the wash basin under Ohio and just kind of disappeared. And now hearing that there's some issues, why, I cannot, I want to see this project come to full fruition, but we can't put people at risk. Even, I know if I'm in a $1 million home and then in the flood, I'm going to be really upset. So I can't imagine anyone who is living south of that, what they would get if our drainage and all that. And I know we're here to talk about the layout of the houses, but that does no good if it's not safe. It is just, I can't, with all true honesty, I don't even, I want to continue. I want to hear from Public Works. I want to know, how is the city going to make this safe for the residents that are there? Because it's, I wouldn't want to just, no. We need some more information here. We need some real engineering stuff that, and some guarantees that our residents, even the ones that are going to be potential buyers of these properties there, and also the ones that have been there for years and years, do we just throw them to the wolves? I mean, how many of those houses in this tract had damage as a result of the rains? Are they just on a position on the hill where, well, everything just kind of ran off and attacked everybody else? We need some real answers to how this drainage and mud and whatever else is going to affect this entire neighborhood up there over time. Yes, we've seen more precipitation this year than I've seen ever in San Bernardino. Maybe we won't get that much anymore, or we might. Could we stand another season of that? It's just too many unanswered questions. And like I said, I know we're supposed to be just looking at the layout of the house, but it is what it is. If it's not safe, it's not sound to me. That's all I have.
I have a few questions for staff. I believe it's more centered for staff. It's my understanding, what I heard you say is that these conditions of approval are existing from 2006, and those conditions are pretty much set. Is that correct?
So yeah, so it's the mitigation measures that were approved under the previously mitigated negative declaration. Correct. So those are already incorporated and implemented as conditions.
Okay. And does that mean that fire cannot, now we're with county fire, and at the time those conditions were set, we were with city fire. So have we, or can we go to county fire and say that this meets the needs of the residents, that if a evacuation order was given, that the residents would have ample time or enough time to leave the property?
So essentially, yeah, the fire department.
So I just want to make it clear that I don't know if you can legally go back and look at those conditions of approval.
Because they're
set.
set.
Yes, because that's already been approved, and I don't know that answer off the top of my head. So I think that the best course of action and what I would recommend is that you continue the item. That way we do have some, that way we can give you sound legal advice on what you can actually look at. Because what's in front of you right now is just the homes.
Right, and that's what I also wanted a clarification from. I understood, I think, David, that you said that unless there's a violation, we can't go back and revisit. Is that what I understood?
Sort of. We can't reopen it no matter what. The map is recorded. It's set. The parcels are there. It hasn't been graded yet. That is not our purview. That's not the Planning Commission's purview to look at grading. That is Public Works' purview, the engineer's purview to look at grading. They have their own process. sorry, I lost my train of thought. Your question again, if you could remind me.
If there was a violation?
Yes, if there's a violation, the city has the authority to enforce those violations of the mitigation monitoring program that was previously approved, just like we have the authority to enforce any violations of conditions of approval for any project or any municipal code law.
Have there been any violations? Do we know?
Of this particular site?
Yes.
I don't know the answer to that. It sounds like from the testimony we've heard tonight that there has been. Public Works is the one most intimate with anything that's gone on up there.
And the project we're looking at tonight, did that specific project cause damage downstream? Or is that a Public Works question as well?
That's my understanding, but
Okay.
I haven't been up there myself to see where the damage is coming from, and I wouldn't be the expert.
Do we know if the developer did any good faith to look if there was any damage done downstream?
We can ask the developer.
Yeah. Okay.
So you understand, this project was, as he said, recorded. We're supposed to be here just to approve the plans. But now we're getting into things that doesn't even pertain to what we're supposed to be here for. But to answer your question, we had that site graded. When you have nothing but dirt up there, with none of without us being completed up there, and then all of a sudden we got caught in these rains, yeah, you're going to have an excess of water there. There's nothing we can do about that. We mitigated, and for any issues that have that excess water flow down there, but you're talking about the corner of Myers and Little League, yeah, there was some excess water and dirt down there. We cleaned it up the very next day. You know, it wasn't like it damaged homes, didn't damage any of our houses. You know, when this project is completed, you won't have that problem up here.
So you did grading already?
That whole site has been graded, yes.
And with a grading permit?
Of course. Yes, we did. They're exaggerating. I've been here for 25 years. They have been opposing every project that ever comes up here.
Applicant, if you could please direct your comments to the commission, please.
Well, again, of course, that whole site was graded. Yes, it's a large site. We're talking 55 acres up there. And when you're in the middle of grading and all of a sudden you hit rains, you're going to have some problems up there. But we mitigated it. It wasn't catastrophic. A little bit of water, a little dirt came down there. We cleaned up the streets.
Can I have a second turn, please, if he can?
So,
I'm sorry, he's the applicant, so he will be able to speak, but, okay, thank you.
Do you want to say something, Jonathan?
Were we going to finish with our commissioners' comments? Thank you.
I think it's a great project overview. There's no question. There's a lot of uncertainty from what I understand. I live in Vermont, by the way. I live right off on the lower portion, but I'm pretty familiar with the development, not specifically, but the overall development. Obviously, I have concerns about traffic. Obviously, I have concerns. I think there's a lot of issues beyond the project in regards to infrastructure, access and egress, fire and whatnot. I know we're here for these single-family homes. I'm not clear on the phase portion. I know we're on the tail end portion of the last 20. Again, I think these are great. I'm familiar with the ADUs and the JADUs. I think it's a great project. It just seems like there's a lot of uncertainty. I don't think there's anybody in this room that has all those answers. I also want to see this project complete. I think you're on the light side saying it was a little bit of water and a little bit of that. There was a lot of water and a lot of that. I live up there, so it's going to be a great project. I have no question that it's going to eventually go through. But just to try to push something through, I'm not sure that that's the right way. A lot of people are affected up there. It's a great neighborhood up there if you're not familiar in the audience. But myself, a lot of uncertainty. I have a background in infrastructure work. background in drainage. I think there's a lot of lacking on everybody's parts, developers, city, everybody. So I think we can improve that. I'm not sure that that's going to happen here, obviously tonight, but a lot of things that we're not being told. But I definitely want to
Let me
want to support
clarify
the
one-
project. We just don't have too much unanswered questions for me
So
tonight.
let me clarify something. When we talk about the grading, that was used as a borrow pit. So we took the dirt there out of that site. That's why you see that huge hole in there. That was earth that was used to build the first 74 homes up there. So that's the grading that we're talking about that we did. We haven't graded the site yet, but we used it as a borrow pit, about 10 acres of the total 25 acres. So, and then the last rains that we had, there was very little water came out of that basin that we have in there right now. So, again, as soon as, at the end of the day, when you finish this project, everything has been mitigated. So, I don't know if, they mentioned something about bringing in dirt there and dumping site. We brought our own dirt there from our own project. We just moved from our project into there. At the end of the day, it's all going to get graded. So, and it will compact. That's what we do. You end up having to compact that area once you put the dirt back in there and bring in the rock. It helps with compaction. So, anyway, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments before we close? Go ahead.
Okay. This was initially started in 2006. The environmental issues have changed drastically. I would like to continue this because I think it's really important that we hear from Public Works what is going on. There's a lot of issues here, and they're not being answered, and we all need to hear from Public Works what's going on. It's impacted this neighborhood, and we need to know why and what's going on with the mitigation efforts. What's the status before we continue? I want to hear Public Works, and that's not you guys.
So, Commissioner, since this is a public hearing item, your motion's gonna have to be that you motion to continue the item to the next Planning Commission meeting, which is Tuesday, May 9th at 2023 at 6 a.m. here in the boardroom.
Can I make a
PM.
motion?
Sorry.
Okay, and then I'll close the public hearing first before the motion is made?
Yes, if that's the pleasure of the commission.
Okay. Okay, going to close the public hearing now. May I entertain a motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion to continue this item to our next meeting. If Public Works could attend, we really need to hear from Public Works.
Second.
May I ask a question before we take roll call? Is that a yes? May I ask?
Yes, that's fine.
I also want to hear from Public Works, but is what Public Works going to say within our purview of approving or denying this project?
So that's the question that I don't know. I
Okay.
don't know if you're gonna be able to go back and reconsider any of the environmental study that was done in 2006. So that also gives us time to come back and give you a proper legal advice on whether you can even do anything with the environmental study, or if you could only focus on this one issue, which is the home designs.
Okay, call for the vote.
Okay, Chair Guerrero?
Yes.
Vice Chair Armstead? That's okay.
I had a question or comment. If I'd like to motion to approve this item tonight, can I propose that as well, or vote against it and then make a motion?
So now, like, there's no more time for questions, so now it's the voting. So, sorry. Yeah, so unless you have a second motion, then that would kill this other motion.
So my motion is to move this item forward and approve it tonight. Again, just my construction experience, I think it sounds like there may have been just heavy rains and some erosion that came from the site, and we need to focus on this project, not the exterior, not what's coming up from the hills, not what's coming from the neighbor. We're focusing on just this project tonight. So I'd like to motion to approve.
Yeah, if there's no second, then we'll go back to the old motion.
So do I I don't?
No.
Just leave it?
Because you have a motion already.
Yeah, so now we're just waiting to see if there's a second on his motion to approve the project as recommended by staff. Commissioner Garcia, is that correct? So, Chair, you can ask if there's a second. If there's not, then we'll go back to the old motion and continue voting.
Okay. Is there a second on this motion? So
You can
that
close it
motion
and
dies?
go back to the roll call.
Okay, so we'll go back to the roll call on the initial motion of
To continue.
continuing the item.
Commissioner Lopez. Do you want to continue it? Or do you want a second? Yes. How do you vote? Yes. Okay.
No.
Commissioner Quill? Commissioner Flores?
Yes.
And then Commissioner Lewis?
Yes.
Commissioner Sherrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia?
Yes.
Okay, so it's continued to the next meeting, May 9th.
Thank you. Any planning commission reports, announcements?
I have a question for Dave. Do you have any comment or can answer the Miss Christine, the teacher from Fairfax, about that project of why the street goes into the Fairfax Elementary School's field?
No, that was not a planning issue. I can't speak to that. I am only aware of what I read in the paper about that.
Okay.
So that too, I believe, was something that was coordinated by the Public Works Department
So if we're going to have Public Works here at the next meeting, that will be a question, because she said she has asked around and nobody seems to know if the project's going to be completed and when they're going to get their field back. So we are going to have Public Works at the next meeting?
well, I can't speak for Public Works, but we're going to ask them nicely.
What? So then she'll be asking her question. Okay.
Got a question. Is that something we add to the agenda for next time? I'm asking, how do we address that? How can we make sure that we address?
We can request if Public Works can be available, and we'd have to agendize that particular topic.
Can we?
Yeah.
Okay, if we can.
And what, just so I understand, what's the street that was closed? Do we know? Cross.
I have an announcement.
Yes.
This is Commissioner Garcia. I just wanted to notify everyone that I'm a volunteer for We Are the Change San Bernardino, and we have a upcoming community event on Saturday, May 6th, here in the city, then downtown on Court Street between D and E. And it's in celebration of Cinco de Mayo to basically have community resident involvements. And I'd like to extend an invitation to the public and everyone here. Hopefully you guys can come out and support. We've been working very tirelessly to bring out vendors to this event. Hopefully you guys can come out and support. Thanks.
Yes, this is, I guess this would be a question I could pose to staff. Do we have any updated information possibly on the temporary rental? Because I haven't heard anything and we...
Yeah, we were hoping to have a report from our economic development team this month. They were not prepared for that. So I'll have to ask them on when they anticipate coming back, hopefully within the next 2 months. I don't know if they're prepared for May or June.
Okay. Okay, is that something that's gonna be, come up on the agenda again? Or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
I just wanted to say that I'm looking forward to working with all of the commissioners up here and as well with staff on the upcoming projects. Thank you.
And I want to echo that. It's an honor to be here and represent the community at this capacity, and appreciate all the projects and the welcoming. Thank you.
One question from staff at the last meeting. I was promised a list of the cell towers in the city, and I haven't gotten an email, or Flores and I have both asked for it.
I think we only have, the problem is we only have data from one of the carriers, and we have not been able to, if I'm not mistaken, we haven't been able to acquire them from any of the other carriers. So we only had T-Mobile that was the representative that was here. That's the only information that we have. Okay, so we can provide what little information we have, but we just don't have a citywide database of all cell towers. We would have to rely on the carriers. And it gets complicated because they share towers sometimes, and so there's duplication. So
if you go on our map, you can actually go to our attributes, and you can select cell towers from 2017, and it will give you every single cell tower location up to 2017. So basically, it will show you on the map where we're located across streets and whatnot. So it won't give you co-location, it won't give you brand new for 2017. So we can work with you to validate the fact that they're very sparse in their information. What we're doing now is that once they put it in, an application will have to do that so that we can get that data. So HPC, I believe, was one of the last that we were here, and we do have their site map, but once we get their site map to the end, they can do the location specific that so the co-locations for, let's say, Verizon and T-Mobile, and then the others will do it that corresponding with that. So you would have to gather that data, quantify it, and access it to 2017 data, and go ahead and increase those analysis. But then you're also expecting that new co-location in 2017. So it's basically, I've been looking at it for a while. It's kind of easy once you start to see it. But our possibility is,
Okay. Any directors report anything too?
nothing
Have-
from our end tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to adjourn at 8:56 p.m.?